Captain Jake Morrison stared at the view screen as his ship moved through the empty space near Kepler 442b. The Starbound had been exploring this system for 3 weeks now, and they had found nothing interesting until today. Something was different about the readings they were getting from their long-range sensors. Lisa Parker sat at her communications station checking the incoming data streams. She had been working with the crew for 5 years and knew when something was not normal. The energy patterns they were detecting did not match anything in their database of known ships or natural phenomena. "Captain, I am getting some strange readings about 2 million kilometers ahead," Lisa said as she turned to face Jake. "The computer cannot identify what it is, but the metal composition suggests it might be artificial." Jake nodded and walked over to look at her screen. The reading showed a large object that seemed to be drifting without power. It was too big to be space debris, but too small to be a space station. The shape was unlike any human ship design they had ever seen. "Ryan, get your security team ready," Jake called to his security chief, who was standing near the tactical station. Ryan Davis had served in the military before joining the exploration service, and Jake trusted his judgment completely when it came to unknown situations. "Already on it, Captain," Ryan replied as he started checking his equipment. "Should we assume this could be hostile?" "We assume nothing until we know more," Jake said. "Lisa, try to get better scans of that object. I want to know everything about it before we get too close." The Starbound moved closer to the mysterious object, and the crew began to see it more clearly on their screens. It was definitely a ship, but not like anything they had seen before. The hull was made of a crystalline material that seemed to glow with a faint blue light, even though it appeared to be without power. Dr. Amanda Foster joined them on the bridge after hearing about the discovery. As the ship's expert on alien life forms, she wanted to see what they had found. She had studied every known alien species that humans had encountered, but this ship design was completely new to her. "The hull structure is fascinating," Amanda said as she studied the scans. "This crystalline material seems to be both extremely strong and highly conductive. Whatever species built this ship has technology we have never seen before." As they got closer, the damage to the alien ship became more obvious. There were large holes in the hull and scorch marks that looked like weapon damage. The ship had been in some kind of battle and had lost badly. Parts of it were missing entirely and debris was floating around it in a loose cloud. "Captain, I am detecting very faint life signs from inside the wreckage," Lisa announced suddenly. Everyone on the bridge turned to look at her in surprise. "The readings are weak, but they are definitely there. Something is alive in that ship." Jake felt his heart rate increase. Finding alien technology was one thing, but finding living aliens was something completely different. Humanity had met several alien species over the past century, but each first contact situation was still incredibly important and potentially dangerous. "Are you sure about those readings?" Jake asked. "Could it be some kind of equipment malfunction or interference from the crystalline hull?" "I have run the scans 3 times, Captain," Lisa replied. "There is definitely something alive in there, and the reading suggests it is very small and possibly injured or unconscious." Ryan stepped forward with concern on his face. "Captain, this could be a trap. We have no idea who these aliens are or what they might be capable of. That ship was clearly destroyed by someone, and we don't know if those attackers are still in the area. I understand your concerns, Ryan, but we cannot just leave if there is someone alive in there who needs help," Jake said firmly. "That goes against everything we stand for as human beings and as members of the Exploration Service." Dr. Foster nodded in agreement. "If there is an injured alien in that wreckage, then we have a moral obligation to try to help them. This could also be an incredible opportunity to make contact with a new species and learn about their culture and technology." Jake made his decision quickly. "Lisa, scan the area for any other ships or threats. Ryan, prepare a rescue team with full environmental suits and medical equipment. Amanda, I want you to go with them in case we need someone who understands alien biology." The crew worked quickly to prepare for the rescue mission. Medical Officer Kevin Hayes joined the team with portable medical equipment that could work with different types of alien physiology. The rescue shuttle was loaded with cutting tools in case they needed to break through the damaged hull of the alien ship. Ryan led the team across the empty space between the two ships, while Jake watched nervously from the bridge of the Starbound. The alien ship was even more damaged up close, and it was amazing that anything could still be alive inside it. The rescue team found a breach in the hull that was large enough for them to enter safely. "We are inside the alien ship now, Captain," Ryan reported over the radio. "The interior design is completely different from human ships. Everything seems to be made of the same crystalline material as the hull, and there are no right angles anywhere. It is like being inside a giant crystal cave." The team moved carefully through the damaged ship following the life sign readings that Lisa was providing from the Starbound. The alien technology was fascinating, but they had to focus on finding the survivor before it was too late. The readings led them to what seemed to be a small chamber deep inside the ship. "Captain, we found something," Ryan said, and his voice sounded strange. "It is not what we expected at all." "What do you mean, Ryan?" Jake asked, feeling worried about the tone in his security chief's voice. "It is a child, Captain," Ryan replied quietly. "A small alien child, and it looks like it has been hurt and scared for a very long time. The poor thing is barely conscious and seems to be starving." Amanda moved closer to examine the small alien being they had found. It was no bigger than a human toddler with bright blue skin that seemed to glow softly in the dark chamber. Its large eyes opened slowly as the humans approached, and Amanda could see fear and intelligence in those alien features. "Hello, little one," Amanda said gently, even though she knew the child could not understand her words. "We are here to help you. You are safe now." The alien child looked at the humans with those large, frightened eyes but seemed to understand that they meant no harm. Kevin carefully examined the small being and determined that it was severely malnourished and showed signs of trauma. Whatever had happened to this ship and its crew had left this child, alone and terrified. The rescue team carefully carried the alien child back to the Starbound, where Dr. Foster and Kevin worked together to provide medical care and try to make the small being comfortable. The child seemed to be recovering slightly once it realized it was safe, but it was clear that it had been through something terrible. Jake stood in the medical bay looking at the small alien child and felt a protective instinct that surprised him. This was not just a first contact situation anymore. This was a rescue mission for an innocent being who had lost everything and needed their help to survive. 3 days had passed since the rescue, and the alien child was slowly getting stronger under the care of Dr. Foster and Kevin Hayes. The small being had started eating the synthetic nutrients they provided and seemed to be learning basic human words with surprising speed. The crew had begun calling the child Blue because of its glowing blue skin. Jake Morrison sat in his ready room reviewing the reports about their unusual passenger when Lisa Parker's voice came over the intercom with urgent news that made his blood run cold. "Captain, I am detecting multiple ships approaching our position from the outer system," Lisa announced with tension in her voice. "The computer identifies them as unknown vessel types, and they are moving fast toward us." Jake rushed to the bridge, where his crew was already working to analyze the approaching ships. The vessels were large and heavily armed with weapon systems that looked far more advanced than anything the Starbound carried. There were 5 ships in total, and they were clearly military vessels designed for combat. "How long until they reach us?" Jake asked as he took his position in the captain's chair. "Approximately 2 hours at their current speed," Lisa replied. "Captain, they are sending a transmission on multiple frequencies. It sounds like some kind of demand, but the language is completely unknown." Ryan Davis joined them on the bridge with a worried expression on his face. "Captain, those ships are definitely warships, and they are heading straight for us. This cannot be a coincidence after we just rescued that alien child." Before Jake could respond, Blue appeared on the bridge with Dr. Foster helping the small alien walk slowly. The child had insisted on coming despite being weak from his ordeal. When Blue saw the approaching ships on the view screen, his large eyes filled with terror, and he began making distressed sounds. "Blue, what is it?" Amanda asked gently as she knelt down beside the frightened child. "Do you know who those ships belong to?" Blue looked at Amanda and struggled to form words in English. "Bad ones," he said in his small voice. "They hurt my people. They take us away from home. They make us work until we die." The crew exchanged worried glances as they realized what this meant. These ships belonged to whoever had attacked Blue's people and destroyed his ship. They had come to take the child back and probably would not accept no for an answer. "Can you tell us more about them, Blue?" Jake asked as he knelt down to speak with the child at eye level. "What do they call themselves?" "Vaxari," Blue said, and his voice was filled with fear. "They are very bad. They steal my people for many years. They make us touch the machines to make them work better. When we get too tired, they throw us away. Dr. Foster felt sick as she began to understand what Blue was telling them. You mean they use your people as some kind of living tools? Blue nodded sadly. My people can talk to machines with our minds. Vaxari found out and they took us from our world. They keep us in small cages and make us work all the time. Many of my people die. The transmission from the approaching ship suddenly changed to basic English as if they had been listening to the conversation on the bridge. The voice that came through the speakers was harsh and demanding with no emotion at all. Human vessel, you have taken property that belongs to the Vaxari Empire, the alien voice announced. You will immediately return our Kalani slave or your ship will be destroyed. You have 1 hour to comply with this demand. Jake felt anger rising in his chest as he heard the aliens refer to Blue as property and a slave. He looked at the small child who was trembling with fear and knew there was no way he would ever hand Blue over to these monsters. This is Captain Jake Morrison of the human exploration vessel Starbound, Jake replied over the open channel. The being you refer to as property is a child under our protection. We do not recognize any claim of ownership over sentient beings, and we will not turn this child over to you. The alien voice responded immediately with cold anger. Humans do not understand the situation you have created. The Kalani are not people. They are tools that serve the Empire. This particular tool is valuable and will be returned or your ship will be eliminated. Blue tugged on Amanda's uniform to get her attention. They will kill you all, he whispered. Vaxari ships are very strong. Your ship cannot fight them. Please do not die because of me. Amanda looked at the frightened child and felt her heart break. Blue, we are not going to let them take you back. You are safe with us, and we will protect you no matter what happens. Jake stood up and faced his crew. Everyone listen to me carefully. We have a choice to make and we need to make it together. We can try to run, but those ships are faster than us and they will catch us eventually. We can surrender the child and probably save our own lives. Or we can fight to protect an innocent being who has already suffered more than anyone should ever have to suffer. Ryan stepped forward without hesitation. Captain, I have served with this crew for years and I know what kind of people we are. We do not abandon children to monsters. If we have to fight, then we fight. Lisa nodded in agreement from her station. The child stays with us, Captain. I would rather die fighting than live knowing we gave up an innocent being to slavers. Kevin. Hayes spoke up from where he had been checking on Blue's health. That child has been tortured and terrorized by these creatures. We cannot send him back to that life. We have to try to protect him. Dr. Foster put her arm around Blue protectively. This child trusts us to keep him safe. We cannot betray that trust no matter what the cost might be to ourselves. Jake nodded as he looked at his brave crew. Then we are all in agreement. We protect Blue and we do not surrender him to the Vaxari under any circumstances. Blue looked up at the humans around him with wonder in his large eyes. He had never seen anyone willing to risk their lives for him before. In his short life, he had only known cruelty and fear from adult beings. These humans were different, and he began to feel something he had never experienced before, which was hope. The Vaxari ships continued their approach as Jake ordered his crew to prepare for battle. The Starbound was not a military vessel and stood little chance against 5 heavily armed warships. But sometimes doing the right thing meant facing impossible odds and trusting that somehow things would work out. Blue moved closer to the ship's control systems, and something amazing happened. The child reached out and touched one of the control panels with his small hand. Immediately, the ship's power output increased and the shields became stronger than they had ever been before. Captain, our systems are running at 120% efficiency, Lisa reported with amazement. I have never seen readings like this before. Blue looked at Jake with determination in his young face. I help you fight the bad ones. My people's gift can make your ship stronger. We fight together. Jake smiled at the brave little alien who had decided to stand with them against his former captors. The battle ahead would be difficult, but they were no longer facing it alone. The first Vaxari ship opened fire without warning as soon as the hour deadline passed. Bright energy beams struck the Starbound shields and shook the entire vessel. Jake gripped his captain's chair as sparks flew from damaged control panels around the bridge. Shields holding at 90%, Lisa reported as she worked frantically at her station. But Captain, these weapons are much more powerful than anything we have ever faced before. Blue stood near the main control console with his small hands pressed against the ship's systems. The child's blue skin was glowing brighter than usual, and Jake could see the strain on his young face as he tried to keep their defenses strong against the enemy attack. Ryan, return fire with everything we have, Jake ordered as another blast from the Vaxari ships hit them. We need to show them that we are not going to surrender without a fight. The Starbound's weapons fired back at the attacking vessels, but their beams seemed to have little effect on the enemy shields. The human ship was designed for exploration and research, not for combat against heavily armed military vessels. They were completely outmatched and everyone on the bridge knew it. Captain, our weapons are barely scratching their hulls, Ryan reported with frustration in his voice. We need help or we are not going to last much longer against 5 warships. Jake made a decision that would change everything. He activated the ship's emergency broadcast system and began transmitting on all human communication frequencies throughout the sector. His message was simple but powerful, and it came straight from his heart. This is Captain Jake Morrison of the exploration vessel Starbound calling all human ships in range, Jake announced over the open channel. We have rescued an alien child from slavery, and we are currently under attack by his former captors. This child is innocent and has suffered terrible abuse at the hands of these creatures. We are vastly outnumbered and outgunned, but we will not surrender this child to a life of slavery and torture. If there are any human vessels in the area who can assist us, we need your help immediately. The crew of the Starbound continued to fight desperately against the Vaxari ships while Jake's message spread across human space. The broadcast was picked up by communication, relays and forwarded to every human ship and station within 50 light years of their position. Blue continued to help boost their ship's systems, but the child was getting weaker from the effort. Dr. Foster knelt beside him and offered support as he struggled to maintain the enhanced power levels that were keeping them alive. Blue, you are pushing yourself too hard, Amanda said with concern. You need to rest or you might hurt yourself. Cannot rest, Blue replied in his small voice. Bad ones will take me back if ship stops working good. Must help human friends stay strong. The battle continued for what felt like hours but was probably only minutes. The Starbound managed to damage one of the Vaxari ships with a lucky shot that Blue had helped them aim perfectly, but they were still badly outnumbered and their own ship was taking heavy damage. Then something wonderful happened that none of them had expected. New ships began appearing on their sensors as they dropped out of faster-than-light travel near the battle site. The first to arrive was a heavy cruiser called the New York under the command of Captain Helen Brooks. Starbound, this is Captain Brooks of the New York, came the welcome voice over the radio. We received your message and we are here to help. No one abandons a child on our watch. More ships continued to arrive as Jake's message had reached every corner of human space. Military vessels, cargo ships, passenger liners, and even private yachts came to answer the call for help. Within an hour, there were over 30 human ships surrounding the battle site. The Vaxari commander seemed shocked by the sudden appearance of so many human vessels. He transmitted another demand for the return of what he called their property, but this time his voice did not sound as confident as before. Human fleet, you do not understand what you are interfering with, the Vaxari leader announced. This slave belongs to our empire, and we will destroy every one of your ships to get it back. Leave now and avoid unnecessary death. Captain Brooks responded for the entire human fleet with steel in her voice. This is Captain Helen Brooks speaking for the human fleet. We do not recognize slavery in any form, and we will not allow you to harm this child. You are outnumbered and outgunned. Leave now or face the consequences. The Vaxari ships found themselves surrounded by an ever-growing number of human vessels as more ships continued to arrive in response to Jake's call for help. What had started as a desperate rescue was turning into the largest gathering of human ships anyone had ever seen. Blue looked around the bridge at the humans who had risked everything to protect him and felt something he had never experienced before. These strange beings with their different colored skin and odd customs had shown him more kindness in a few days than he had received in his entire life. Why do humans help me? Blue asked Dr. Foster as he continued to boost the ship's systems. I am not human. I am just small and cannot give you anything important. Amanda knelt down and looked into the child's large eyes with all the love she would show her own child. Blue, we help you because it is the right thing to do. You are a child and you deserve to be safe and happy. It does not matter that you look different from us. What matters is that you are a living being who needs protection. The human fleet began to coordinate their attacks against the Vaxari ships. The enemy vessels were individually more powerful, but they were now facing odds of more than 6-1. The tide of battle had turned completely, and the Vaxari found themselves on the defensive. During the fighting, Blue made an amazing discovery. As he helped coordinate the human ship systems, he began to sense something that filled him with hope and excitement. There were other Kalani still alive somewhere in the galaxy, and his people's natural abilities were allowing him to feel their presence across the vast distances of space. "Amanda," Blue said urgently as he tugged on her sleeve, "I can feel my people. They are still alive, but they are in cages on many different worlds. The bad ones have hidden my people all over the galaxy, and they are using them to make their machines work." Dr. Foster realized what this meant immediately. "Blue, are you saying there are more Kilani being held as slaves by the Vaxari?" "Yes, many of my people are still alive, but they are very sad and scared," Blue replied. "They are waiting for someone to help them, but they have been waiting for so long they are starting to lose hope." Jake overheard the conversation and felt a new determination fill his heart. This was no longer just about protecting one alien child. This had become something much bigger and much more important. If there were more innocent beings suffering under Vaxari slavery, then humanity had a moral obligation to help free them all. The battle against the Vaxari fleet lasted 3 full days, as more human ships continued to arrive from across the sector. What had started as 5 enemy warships attacking one exploration vessel had grown into a massive space battle with over 200 ships, fighting across an entire star system. Captain Helen Brooks coordinated the human fleet from her command ship while Jake Morrison and his crew stayed close to protect Blue. The alien child had become more than just a refugee they were defending. Blue was now helping coordinate the entire human fleet with his natural ability to connect with electronic systems. "Captain Brooks, the Kalani child is somehow linking all our ship computers together," reported Lieutenant Colonel Sam Mitchell from his Marine assault ship. "Our targeting systems are working better than they ever have before, and our ships are moving like they can read each other's minds." Blue sat in the center of the Starbound's bridge with his small hands, touching multiple control panels at once. His blue skin was glowing brighter than ever, and his large eyes were closed in concentration as he helped the human ships work together like a single giant organism. "Blue, you are amazing," Dr. Foster said as she watched the child coordinate dozens of ships at the same time. "Your people must have incredible abilities if you can do all this while you are still so young." "My people learn to talk to machines when we are very small," Blue explained without opening his eyes. "But I never had chance to help good people before. Vaxari only make us fix their weapons and make their ships go faster so they can hurt more people." The human fleet slowly gained the upper hand in the battle as Blue's coordination allowed them to work together with perfect timing. The Vaxari ships were individually more powerful, but they could not match the teamwork and determination of the human forces. During a brief pause in the fighting, Captain Brooks transmitted a message to the Vaxari commander. "This is your last chance to surrender peacefully. We know you have been enslaving innocent beings and using them as tools. Tell us where the other Kalani are being held and we might let you live." The Vaxari response was filled with rage and hatred. "Humans are weak and soft. You do not understand that some species exist only to serve their betters. We have enslaved the Kalani for over 200 years, and we will continue to use them until they are extinct. You cannot stop the Vaxari Empire." Blue opened his eyes when he heard those words, and Jake could see anger in the child's face for the first time since they had rescued him. "They killed my parents and my sister," Blue said quietly. "They made me watch and said I would work harder if I was scared and alone." The human crews throughout the fleet felt their resolve strengthen when they learned more about what Blue and his people had suffered. This was no longer just a battle to protect one child. This had become a war to free an entire species from centuries of slavery and abuse. Lieutenant Colonel Mitchell led a boarding party onto the damaged Vaxari command ship after human fighters had broken through its shields. What they found inside made even hardened military veterans feel sick to their stomachs. "Captain Brooks, you need to see what we found on this ship," Mitchell reported over the radio. "They have detailed records of Kalani slave camps on dozens of different worlds. These monsters have been breeding the Kalani in captivity and using them like living computers. The Marine teams downloaded all the information they could find about Vaxari slave operations. The records showed thousands of Kalani being held in terrible conditions across multiple star systems. Many had been enslaved for their entire lives and had never known freedom or kindness. Blue gasped when he sensed the information being transmitted to the human ships. "So many of my people are still alive," he said with tears in his large eyes. "But they are so sad and tired. Some of them have forgotten what it feels like to be happy." Admiral Patricia Stone arrived with a full battle fleet, just as the last Vaxari ships were being destroyed or surrendering. She had been following the reports of the battle and came prepared to take command of what was clearly becoming a major military operation. "Captain Morrison, Captain Brooks, you have done something incredible here," Admiral Stone announced as her flagship took position near the Starbound. "But I think we all realize this is just the beginning. We cannot leave thousands of innocent beings in slavery after learning about their situation." Jake looked at Blue, who was still connected to the ship's systems and helping coordinate the massive human fleet. "Admiral, this child has been through more suffering than anyone should ever have to endure. But he is still trying to help us save his people. How can we do anything less than everything in our power to free them all?" Blue stood up slowly and walked over to Admiral Stone's image on the view screen. "Admiral Human Leader, my people have been slaves for so long that many have stopped believing anyone would ever help them. But you came to save me when you did not even know me. If humans can help free my people, the Kalani will never forget your kindness." Admiral Stone nodded with determination. "Blue, I give you my word as an officer and as a human being. We will not stop until every one of your people is free from Vaxari slavery. This fleet will visit every world on those lists, and we will break open every prison camp we find." The human fleet began organizing for the largest rescue operation in their history. Ships were assigned to different star systems where Kalani slaves were being held. Medical teams prepared to treat beings who had been abused for generations. Transport vessels were loaded with supplies to help the rescued Kalani start new lives. Blue worked tirelessly to help the humans understand Kalani biology and needs. The child also used his abilities to try to contact other Kalani across the galaxy and let them know that help was finally coming. Many of the enslaved Kalani had given up hope long ago, but Blue's mental contact began to revive their spirits. "My people are starting to believe again," Blue told Dr. Foster as they prepared for the rescue missions. "For the first time in many years, they think they might see freedom. They are scared that it might not be real, but they want to hope." The first rescue mission launched toward a nearby star system where the Vaxari records showed a large slave camp. Captain Brooks led the assault fleet while Jake and his crew stayed with Blue to coordinate communications with the enslaved Kalani. As the human ships jumped to faster than light speed to begin the liberation of an entire species, Blue stood on the bridge of the Starbound looking at the stars. The frightened child who had been found alone in a damaged ship was now helping to free thousands of his people from a lifetime of suffering. The war for Kalani, freedom had begun, and humanity was fighting not for territory or resources but for something much more important. They were fighting for the right of all intelligent beings to live free from fear and slavery. The liberation of the Kalani took almost 2 years as human fleets spread across dozens of star systems to break open every slave camp they could find. Blue had grown taller and stronger during this time, but he never forgot the fear and loneliness he had felt when the humans first rescued him from the wreckage of his ship. Jake Morrison watched from the bridge of the Starbound as they approached the last known Vaxari slave facility in this sector of the galaxy. The child who had once been too weak to stand was now a young adult who could coordinate entire fleets with his mind, and had become the bridge between two very different species. "Captain, we are receiving signals from the Kalani inside the facility," Lisa Parker reported from her communications station. "Blue is talking to them now and telling them that rescue is finally here." Blue stood at the center of the bridge with his eyes closed and his blue skin glowing as he reached out with his thoughts to contact his people inside the prison camp. "They are so scared," Blue said softly. "Many of them have been slaves their whole lives and do not remember what freedom feels like." Dr. Amanda Foster put her hand on Blue's shoulder in a gesture of support that had become natural over the years they had worked together. She had watched him grow from a terrified child into a confident young leader who carried the hopes of his entire species. Tell them that they are going home, Blue, Amanda said gently. Tell them that they will never be slaves again and that humans will help them build new lives wherever they want to live. The rescue operation went smoothly as human Marines broke into the Vaxari facility and found over 300 Kalani, who had been kept in small cages barely big enough for them to sit down. Many of the rescued Kalani were so weak they could barely walk after years of abuse and poor treatment. Blue was the first to enter the facility after it was secured, and the sight of his own people broke his heart. Some of the older Kalani had been slaves for so long they had forgotten their own names. Others had been born in captivity and had never seen the sky or felt sunlight on their blue skin. "Hello, my people," Blue said in the Kalani language as he walked among the rescued prisoners. "I am Blue and I was once a slave like you. The humans saved me and now they have saved all of us. We are free now and we will never be slaves again." An elderly Kalani female reached out with a trembling hand to touch Blue's face. "Are you real or am I dreaming?" she asked in a whisper. "I thought all the free Kalani were dead and that we would die in these cages." "I am real and so is your freedom," Blue replied as he helped the old female to her feet. "The humans fought a war to free us all. They risked their lives for people they had never met just because it was the right thing to do." The rescued Kalani were taken to specially prepared ships where human medical teams worked to treat their injuries and help them recover from years of trauma. Many of the Kalani had never seen humans before and were amazed by their kindness and gentleness. Blue spent his time moving between the different ships and helping his people understand that they were truly safe now. He also worked with human doctors and scientists to help them understand Kalani biology and culture so they could provide better care for the recovering former slaves. "Blue, your people are remarkable," Kevin Hayes told him as they worked together in the medical bay. "Despite everything they have been through, they are recovering quickly once they realize they are truly free." "Kalani are strong," Blue replied as he helped calm a frightened child who had been born in slavery. "We survive because we hope that someday things will be better. Now that day has come because humans made it happen. The Vaxari Empire collapsed completely as human and Kalani forces continued to destroy their slave operations and free their prisoners. Without their enslaved workforce to maintain their technology and infrastructure, the Vaxari civilization fell apart within months. Many former Vaxari worlds were liberated by joint human and Kalani military forces. The freed Kalani often chose to settle on these worlds alongside their human liberators, creating the first truly integrated colonies in known space. Admiral Stone established the Kalani Refugee Assistance Program to help the freed slaves adapt to their new lives. The program provided housing, education, and job training for Kalani who wanted to learn new skills beyond the technical abilities they had been forced to use as slaves. Blue became the first Kalani to attend a human military academy when Admiral Stone personally sponsored his application. The young alien who had once been property of the Vaxari Empire was now training to become an officer in the human space fleet. "I want to make sure this never happens to anyone again," Blue told Jake Morrison during one of his visits back to the Starbound. "Humans showed my people what it means to be free. Now I want to help protect that freedom for others who might need it." Dr. Foster established the first Kalani Cultural Center on Earth where rescued Kalani could work to preserve their history and traditions that had almost been lost during centuries of slavery. Blue helped her collect the memories and knowledge that survived in the minds of the oldest Kalani. "My people had beautiful cities and art and music before the Vaxari came," Blue explained as he worked with Amanda to record Kalani history. "We almost forgot all of it during the years of slavery, but some of the oldest ones still remember. We can teach the young ones about who we used to be." The partnership between humans and Kalani grew stronger each year as the two species learned from each other. Humans gained access to Kalani biotechnology and their amazing ability to interface with complex systems. The Kalani learned about human concepts of individual freedom, democracy, and cultural diversity. Jake Morrison, now promoted to Admiral Morrison, stood on the observation deck of a space station orbiting New Kalani, the first independent Kalani world established after their liberation. Below him he could see human and Kalani children playing together in parks and gardens that had been built with both species' needs in mind. Blue joined him at the observation window, now wearing the uniform of a lieutenant commander in the human space fleet. The frightened child they had rescued years ago had become a confident young adult who served as a symbol of cooperation between two very different species. "Do you ever think about that day when we found you in the wreckage?" Jake asked as they watched the mixed human and Kalani families going about their daily lives below. "I think about it every day," Blue replied with a smile. "You saved one scared child, and that choice changed the lives of thousands of my people. It showed me that sometimes one act of kindness can grow into something much bigger than anyone imagined." Terran-Kalani Alliance was officially formed 5 years after Blue's rescue with the signing of a treaty that made both species equal partners in exploring and protecting the galaxy. Blue served as one of the first alien officers in the human space fleet and helped establish policies to prevent slavery and protect refugee species. Years later, when Jake Morrison was an old man, he would tell the story of how protecting one alien child had led to the liberation of an entire species and the formation of humanity's first true interstellar alliance. The lesson was simple but powerful. Doing the right thing, even when it seems impossible, can change the galaxy in ways no one could ever predict.